Well, Mr. President, welcome back to the show. Super excited to chat with you. This will be fun to catch up with you.
Well, it's great to be back, and thank you for always allowing us to share a bit about our part of the world and the Western Pacific.
Yeah, so for folks who may not know Palau well, how would you describe your country and what makes it special to you personally?
Well, when we promote Palau, we say pristine paradise. When I was in grad school, all my friends a lot of them were going to Wall Street for interviews. I was getting my MBA. So they had asked me, so why aren't you interviewing? And I said, no, I'm going home. I'm going to help our family business. And, why go anyplace else? In my mind, there was no other, the lure of Wall Street and making all that money was great, but going home to paradise was always in the plans. I always tell people that Palau is in the westernmost Pacific. It's 500 miles east of the Philippines, 800 miles southwest of Guam. It is really in a 60-mile radius. You can see all the different island formations of the Pacific. We have atolls in the north, and then in some of our southern islands, which are similar to the Marshall Islands or Maldives. We have the Hawaiian Islands, or like Fiji, we have a volcanic island. It's kind of in the middle. And then we have islands to the south that are similar to Guam or Nauru, coral formations. And then we have higher ones that are coral islands that are similar to what people would see in Palawan in the Philippines or Raja Ampat in Indonesia. So we like to say that you can see a slice of the whole Pacific in Palau. And one of the things that we've been blessed with is currents from the Western Pacific, from the Southwestern Pacific, and from the Eastern Pacific all converge on Palau. And Palau is right at the edge of what they call the Coral Triangle. So we have 1,500 species of fish,
Wow.
500 species of coral, just tremendous biodiversity below the ocean. And above the ocean, the islands are full of vegetation. If Peleliu was the site of one of the bloodiest battles ever for the United States. And during World War II, the island was completely bombed. There was no tree standing.
Dang.
And so it looked like a desert. Now, of course, it's a tropical rainforest again, because that's how islands are that have lots of rain. So just, you won't just see one type of tree or plant. It'll be a whole variety of plants and trees. So we've been blessed with this. And we also believe that it's our responsibility to be good stewards of what we've been blessed with. So we try to protect it and use it sustainably so Palauans and the world can continue to enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a beautiful country. My wife and I frequently go to Hawaii, and one of our Uber drivers was from Palau, and it was right after we first interviewed you, and I got a chance to talk to the Uber driver about, hey, I just interviewed the president of Palau, and he about stopped in his tracks, and he literally started crying because he thought it was such a cool connection. So he just seeing the light up in his eyes as I just reminisced of the small amount I knew about his country, I could tell that it was a great place to be from. So when you came into leadership, you're president of the Republic of Palau, you had a business background. How has that kind of shaped how you think governing goes for the Republic of Palau? I mean, I'm sure you have a tremendous amount of responsibility in the country, but you're also often traveling around the world speaking about, climate change and how it affects your ocean and the oceans that are surrounding you, and keeping good relations up around the world with folks as they think of Palau. So tell me how that business background has helped shaped your kind of philosophy in politics.
Well, I guess coming from a business background, we're problem solvers. We just want to get things done. And whether it's coming in the middle of COVID, or we're digging ourselves deeper into debt, and we've got to fix this. We've got to get things back on track. And so just getting to work and trying to bring tourism back. But before you bring tourism back, you got to get everybody vaccinated. You got to be prepared, because if you have community spread, so it's just going through the processes and getting all of that done. We have been doubly challenged with tourism because unfortunately the US dollar is very strong. And
Yeah.
when the US dollar is strong, Asians, it makes it difficult for them to travel to a country that uses US dollars. But it's been a struggle to get back. We're about at this year, just finishing in December, we're about at 70% of where we were in pre-COVID. We hope to be closer to almost 90% by the end of this year. So just trying to bring that back. One thing that we've really worked hard on is uh, pre-COVID, a lot of our tourism came from China. And one of the things that I've been very focused on is well, you got to diversify. You can't have all your eggs in one basket for multiple reasons. One is I've said in other talk shows and other events that the Chinese tend to weaponize tourism if you don't play their game. And so just having coming back, we have now 4 flights a week from Taipei. We've got 2
Nice.
new flights that just started Tokyo. Of course, 6 flights a week from Guam, 2 flights from Manila, and we have a new flight that we started from Australia that we're really excited about. We also have 6 flights a week from Hong Kong and Macau, which we try to, we're thankful for those, but we definitely want the rest of the world to see Palau. And so, really, what we're grateful for is that we've seen tremendous growth in the European market, the U.S. market, of course, Australia, and now Japan is coming back. So really building a solid foundation for the future. The other thing that I ran in 2016 and then I ran again in 2020 for president. But one of the things that I campaigned on was tax reform. And
Hmm.
you know, coming from a big business background, I know there's loopholes in tax systems. There's something that the IMF for years have told us to do was and ADB and the World Bank is that you need a modern tax system, a value added tax system, which is basically a sales tax, but more of the way the rest of the world is doing it. And that way it's really self checking, easier to plug up the loopholes and really collect revenues from the consumers, and that includes tourists, and then turn around and reduce taxes on income and others to the people that are living there and help, well, the most importantly, the people that need it most. And so, we tried talking about that in 2016. Of course, I lost the election. 2020, I got in. I said we were going to do it. Within a year, we had it passed, implemented it about 2 years out from the election. And and my last election, 24, it was a hot topic. But I think in the end, the people see the results of what we were trying to do. And so anybody that runs on taxes and raises taxes a little bit and still wins, I have to be grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the confidence that the Palau people had in me. So,
How close was that 2024 election? I know you won, but did you have somebody that was close to you, or was it a landslide victory?
well, we got 58%. So
Nice, that's great.
competition got 42%. So
Yeah,
pretty,
pretty strong.
I think pretty strong from,
Yeah.
I think the people spoke and just so happened that I ran against previous president who had also held office for 16 years. So he
Wow.
had 8 years, took a break, and then took another 8 years. So a well seasoned politician. And of course, when he was in office, he refused to do the tax reforms. So one of the things he ran on was he was going to go backwards. And
That didn't work out too well for him,
my
did it?
campaign was no, we're going forward, we're not going backwards.
Well, one of the things that you spearheaded, and we're kind of one of the first out the gate in the whole world was a digital residency program. Talk to me a little bit about that. Is that still happening? How did that come to be? Has it been popular with entrepreneurs? Talk to me a little bit about what that program is and how it's going.
Well, we're still at the beginning. We kind of model it after Estonia. So we got the digital residents. I think the next part of what we're trying to do is get the right legislation in so that they can have own businesses and do other things. That hasn't quite come to fruition, but we're still working on it. We have over 30,000 digital residents that have already signed up, so quite a significant number. There's definitely interest. One of the things that we wanted to do was establish a Palau stablecoin. But one of the challenges that you have in politics is sometimes people are afraid, and especially my Congress, and so they just are always cautious and trying to stop things and it's trying really to stop change. And so it's I'm always on the media talking about these things because it's really about helping the people understand. And if the people understand, they can convince Congress that we need this legislation so we can further really, I think, open up the opportunities that programs like the digital residency has. We have a shipping registry now. We're working on an aircraft registry, but just looking at all those different opportunities that you have as a small country, and trying to unlock that. And really, one of the things that we see in Palau is because of our location, we're on the same time zone as Tokyo. We're three
Mm,
and a half hours from Hong Kong. So one of the things that we do have an opportunity of is just being a financial center, small enough, nimble enough that, you know, I think we've learned from some of the challenges they've had in places like the British Virgin Islands and Cayman Islands and Bermuda. How can we do a better job at that? Because there are, I think, opportunities out there. There's Asian companies that are looking for that. And so finding a niche, and then because we see ourselves as being really the Caribbean of Asia.
yeah. So one of the things that I've admired about you as I watch from afar is that you have really great relationship with the US and other countries around the world. How important has that been for you to have a solid relationship with the US no matter who the president is every 4 years or so? And my guess is your country benefits from having a great relationship with the US.
Well, about it's now 32 years ago, Palau entered into what we call a compact of free association with the United States. And through that relationship, of course, we were a trust territory of the United States and then transitioned to become an independent country, but in free association with the United States. And basically, what that does is when it comes to security and defense, we are part of the U.S. homeland in the U.S.'s view. And that's an important part of our relationship because, as you know, World War II, we were the South Seas headquarters for Japan when they were launching attacks in Asia and all over the South Pacific. So we know that because of our geographic location, we'll always be, I think, in the center of whoever is the dominant powers sphere of what they would like to influence. And as you know, over the years, China's influence has grown and dominance across the Pacific continues to strengthen. And over the past few years with the United States, during COVID, it was important that we had military visits. It's important that we had US exercises because even though we didn't have the numbers of tourists that we had previously, well, at least we had military, for example, 70 Marines that have been staying on one of our southern islands working on a runway for the last 3 years. And those Marines, of course, occupy space and hotel, and they've been able to at least keep that island having occupancy in all their small Airbnbs that they have operating, which, you know, there's little things like that that I
Yeah,
think
it's great for the economy.
how we help each other. So, there's this feeling that, oh, the US is out there, they're improving runways, they're going to improve the port, they're building radar stations. And, there's fear that this will bring more attention to Palau and I mean more risk for if there's war or some kind of activity in the Pacific. But, I try to help people understand that most importantly, we have to partner with partners that we share common values. And the United States, we believe in freedom and democracy and the rule of law. And most importantly, if the United States is strong and ready to defend not only Palau, but the Pacific, we are safe and secure.
Yeah,
And as Trump says, peace through strength. And
yeah.
so it's really about Palau working with the United States to ensure that we have a free and open Indo-Pacific. But it's working with the United States, working with Japan, working with Taiwan, working with Australia, and of course the European allies, India, and that's what's important. So having the United States as a partner for defense, but more importantly as a development partner. And one of the things that we've been able to just conclude during my first term was the Compact of Free Association. What we call every 15 years there's a review. So we finished the 15-year review.
Nice.
We kind of set out some economic policies and development assistance for infrastructure and healthcare and security and education for the next 20 years. So it's partnering, making sure that not only are we talking about security and defense, but we're talking about building those important social services and economic resilience. And one of the things that we're working with the U.S. now on is having an investment conference in Hawaii in February to attract U.S. investors to really look at the Pacific as an investment area. Everybody flies across to Asia, but what are the types of businesses you could have in the Pacific that may work? Like a financial center. Why can't we have J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs and them have offices in Palau, but have clients all over Asia? I mean, that's what I see the future is. And live in paradise. You can, almost on the same time zone as China, same time zone as Tokyo and Seoul, provide those services for that people need. So really looking at how U.S. investment can change things in Palau. And it was actually one of the Biden summits. I was at the White House and we had a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce or an industry in D.C. And it was at that time I met with the vice president of United, Steve Morrissey. And I said, I'm working very hard to fight every airline I can find to open up flights from Tokyo to Palau. United already has the most flights into Palau. You're the most logical choice. So why don't you just do it?
Nice.
And 2 years later, they did it. And the good news is that
Awesome.
it's been successful. So, that's about partnership. And so
Yeah,
the relationship with the United States has really been key for our economic development, important for keeping us resilient, and of course, providing the security I think that we all benefit from to Palau, but also to the world.
that's awesome. So, what gives you the most hope about Plow's future right now for maybe folks, that you get to see the big picture of this? You get to travel around the world, you get to be friends with the presidents of the United States, but not everybody in your country gets to travel the world. What gives you hope for the future of the everyday person that lives in your country?
Well, you know, the challenge that we have is there's only 18,000 people in Palau. So it's a very small economy. In fact, a group from the Boston Consulting Group said your ideal size to make you really self sufficient is you need 60,000 people. But we have about 20,000 Palauans that live in the United States. They've all come here in search of the American dream. So really my goal is how do I provide economic opportunity at home so that those young men and women can find their way back. Many of them have served in the US military. What are those opportunities that we can have to bring them back and build a sustainable economy? And I believe that it is possible. We've seen some of them begin to come back. The economy is turned around. We had in 2024, we had 12 point a little over 12% GDP growth. This year, 2020, last year, 2025, we expect it to be a little bit over 6%. And next year, we hope to be at another 4%, 5%. So you know, I tell people that there is hope. We have our challenges, but I think we're building a stronger, more resilient Palau. And then, using technology. I think that's what is happening now is technology is really changing the world in the way we do things. And we have one fiber optic cable already hooked up. A second one will be hooked up sometime this year. That'll open up so much capacity on the internet for us and really direct links to the US West Coast. Singapore, we have direct links now, fiber to Guam and the Philippines. So those cables really, I think, will open up new opportunities for us. And that goal of being a financial center or a corporate center where businesses can that are especially in the digital space can have their businesses and operate. These are, I think, opportunities that we're just scratching the surface of, but there is potential.
Have you guys dabbled with Starlink at all? The Elon Musk's internet service with your country?
Well, we unfortunately have had to block them from coming into Palau because if we allowed them in, our fiber optic cable, unfortunately, we went out on loan to buy them.
Oh, so you need people using it.
And so if we have too much competition, we can't pay back the loan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Maybe
but
down the road.
fiber is still faster than Starlink. So it's really finding that capacity. So there was a law to put a moratorium until 2028 and then opening it up. And so we're sticking there. Do have some remote islands. And so we're trying to talk to Starlink to address the needs on those. And of course, boats and other things that are in Palau. But on the land based stuff, we're trying to say for now, use the fiber that we have on the ground, which right now we're only using 5% of the capacity of the fiber that we
Dang.
have.
So it's got a
And
lot
when
to
the
grow.
second one, is hooked up. We're only using 2.5%. So one of the things that's happening is we're going to get fiber to everybody's home soon.
Nice. So for I want to be mindful of your time, Mr. President. My last question to you is this: when people hear this story, they're going to hear people from all around the U.S., all over the world, really, will be listening to this podcast, and they'll be listening to Palau's story. What do you hope stays with them the most as they maybe tune into hearing from a president from a country that they're first learning about now and being fascinated by it? What do you hope stays with them as they hear this story about Palau?
Well, I hope that they hear that it is paradise and we welcome you to come and visit. But we have a policy that when any visitor comes into Palau, your passport gets stamped, and it's stamped with the Palau Pledge. And basically, you promise to our children that you will walk lightly, tread lightly, leave a minimal impact. Most importantly, only leave footprints that are in the sand that are washed away. That is our goal, is to have visitors come and visit, enjoy Palau. We take care of it. We're proud of it, and we want to see you there. See you there. That's your way of helping us being economically resilient, being able to help our people, and that's what been my message to the when I was visiting the U.S. chamber, also Taiwan. I was telling our friends in Taiwan and Japan, we want you also to come and invest in tourism and airlines and hotels, restaurants, whatever you can come up with, so that you can share in the opportunities that Palau has to offer. Or if you have ideas on developing a financial center, I think we are only scratching the surface of that. Also, in fishing and aquaculture is another area that we're definitely looking to develop. And we also are looking at how we can do something about renewable energy. We're now at 25%. We want to get to 100%
Nice.
renewable. One of the things that we're stuck with in the Pacific is we rely on diesel to power our generators, and that's quite expensive. So right now, with the cost of solar and batteries, the cost has come down. But there's other opportunities out there. So I think I want your listeners to know that there's a lot of opportunity in Palau for business, but also just come and enjoy and explore the nature, World War II history, and also our culture, which goes back 3,000 years. And what we've recently discovered is they say they're like the pyramids. We have terraces in Palau. So, yeah, I
That's
tried to say
awesome.
that in the shortest amount of time possible. But thank you for asking.
So, for folks interested, I'm going to stick all the links to the official tourism website in the podcast description. Go check it out. Go book your flight. I mean, just go Google Palau and you will see that it is literally a paradise. You'll think that it's, almost too good to be true, but guess what? It is true. So is United probably the best way for folks in the U.S. to go get to Palau? Is that probably the best, easiest way?
Yeah, so there's most, I think, come via United, but there's also sometimes pretty good deals on China Airlines, and China Airlines, I think, flies from LA, San Francisco, Seattle to Taipei, and then on to Palau, and connections are pretty good too. So it's like a one
Nice.
stop, and that's 4 times a week versus United twice a week out of Tokyo. But for Alaska, you just fly to Honolulu, and then it's Honolulu, Guam, and then Palau.
That's awesome.
That's a pretty good.
Well, Mr. President, I appreciate you joining us. You're welcome back anytime.